All right, what's a happening, nerds? We got John here nerding out with cards, and we got Adam pincing the flood for the win. And hopefully, this is regular enough to where you guys kind of know, like, this is what we do every month, and we alternate channels and everything. So we're here to, talk about cards collecting, and then some of what we picked up for the month of May. I know, Adam, you're on fire. You're picking up a bunch of cards for different projects, so you do sprinkle in some pickup videos throughout the month, but
Yep.
you saved some back for this video, so I
Yep.
appreciate that. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's yeah, I haven't actually been out there picking up a ton of cards, to be honest with you. I've just finally gotten ComC I bought some stuff from to help with
Oh,
projects. And now that stuff's finally coming. They're like 3-4 months out, which I used to never wait that long for ComC cards, but they're really
yeah.
backed up. Been rumors that they might shut it down. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but I finally got some back. So now I've got, those are the cards I've been getting back. I've only bought a few cards. I think one of my shows I did the Red Heart that I got of Gus
Yeah.
Zernial. But even then, I picked it up because it was $12. I mean, when do you find a Red Heart for $12? So, you know,
Yeah.
um, but besides that, just picking up little things, but also I've gotten about 3 or 4 ComCs back, and you'll see some of that today. Some of the ComC stuff I've gotten. They've been waiting for to complete some projects or finish projects.
Yeah, I still have some. I have a few cards like they have them there or whatever, and especially with the shipping prices the way they are now, I've just not. And you always have to add money to the thing, and it's never an exact amount, so it's just like this never-ending cycle, right? Which is, I think they did that on purpose, but
Yes. Yeah.
um,
I
it's disappointing because like I've gotten a lot of cards from them over the years, and it used to be such a great resource, and now it's changed, right? And it's
the
to exactly your points.
the resource is still there. It's just the way they're running it. Like what I don't understand, John, and maybe I'm just a stupid business dude that doesn't know anything, but my thing is if you start, you can tell because every company like that has either a weekly or a monthly. They sit down with everybody and they look at what's coming in. If you know you got a million cards coming in, or you got a million whatever coming in, and you know you can't meet that, you start hiring right then. You don't wait 6 months until you're completely backed up and then think, boy, we need some help. It's like you should notice that right off and start adding people as you're growing. That's part of growing, right? You're making more money, you can hire more people and keep that backlog to where I should be able to get my cards from ComC within a month to 6 weeks. I shouldn't have to wait. Literally, this last one that came in, I put in November, and I just got it. We're into June now. So 6 months later, I'm getting, and it was New York Jet cards, no value of any kind really. And yet it took 6 months to get it back. And that's the frustrating part. I just don't, that makes it frustrating, but yet I still like their product because I can buy a bunch of things at one time and know I'll get it all. But instead of
Yeah,
doing those $2 transitions on eBay where you do 42 PayPals to get the cards you want. It's just I can't do that. It drives me nuts.
yeah. I was just on eBay looking up, cheaper cards, right? You're talking like 50 cent, dollar 50 cards, and I was never able to find a seller that even had three of them off this checklist that I'm working off of, and so it was just like, okay, I'm gonna pick the cheapest one on the search, and sure enough, it's nine different cards from nine different sellers.
Yeah.
I would
It
actually have to pay more to find a
yes.
seller that has more of the cards. But yeah, it's like you said, it's just more and more envelopes, and I don't know. It's first world problems, right? But
Yeah. No, I think I,
yeah,
I think the ComC is actually a brilliant idea. Whoever thought that up, it's brilliant in that people can come, but when you're running a business the way you are now, it doesn't make people excited about wanting to go use it because it's like I'm like you,
yeah,
John. It's not about patience or anything. I don't want to wait 6 months to see cards for God's sakes.
yeah,
I want the card now. That's why I'm buying it. I want to pick it up. I want to buy it, and I want to get it in the mail in a week. I don't want to wait 6 months.
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Like I hate like when especially if it's a card you really want or you're really excited for, even waiting 4 days.
Yes.
It's just like, oh man, this sucks.
Well, especially like, I remember last month you showed that really nice card you got of Yadier that was to complete your collection. It's like, I bet you were sitting there like shaking every day, like checking the mail. Like, this is the card, right? It's gonna end this run, but it's also a nice card, of one that I really wanted. And I hate waiting. I'm like you. I'm excited about wanting to get the card because see, I there's no shows where I live. The closest
Yeah.
shows of any decency are all the way into Seattle. Well, that's a
Yeah.
5-hour drive for me. I'm not going to go to some show. You see people like our boy over, Rob at Cash Cards. He goes to a show almost every week because where he lives,
Yep.
there's these 2 or 3 shows that happen literally every other week. I don't have that kind of ability. There's nothing up in Portland that's worth going to, so I'm screwed.
Yeah, and I can't get to shows either just because they're always on the weekends, and I've
Yeah,
just
now
had to
you're
take the
working.
time off of work for it. But yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and so you're tethered to the internet, That's how I've been for years now. Is
And
is
it's
that
it's
so?
it's treated me good. I mean, eBay's the bulk of where I buy stuff, but I'll find stuff other places. But
Yep.
for the most part, it's eBay, and they have what I need. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a pretty simple collector, so I can find it on eBay. I'm not looking for really rare cards or really expensive cards. Like, I couldn't drop $1,000 on eBay. I would have to see that card in person and see, I wouldn't spend that kind of money on something coming off of eBay. Um, so I'm
I
not
mean,
going to
it
ever buy
depends on
those
the
kind of
card,
cards.
Sometimes eBay might be your only source, or one of those auction sites. Which I guess before we go on with like cards and whatnot, so like the CIA auctions, which I don't know why we say CIA auctions. Doesn't A stand for auctions?
Yeah, but it's CI
Yeah, it's kind
auctions,
of
I
funny,
guess.
right?
Yeah.
Anyway, would you be more willing to spend money on that platform versus eBay or not?
Oh no, I would probably do CIA more just because I know they've got more channels to go through. But also CIA
Okay.
is the only auction house that I even look at because they're run by people we like. You and I,
Yeah.
we know those people. Chris Sewell is one of the most honest human beings I've ever seen in this market.
Okay.
And he tells you exactly what he goes through. And then to have Theo be the guy that you're sending your cards to that's helped setting it up for Jeremy and
Yeah.
Chris, I think those are the only people I would trust that they would do things right. And their auctions, you can get some decent deals. They're not like, a lot of the other auction houses I look at, everything is so high priced. Like, they don't have cards for you and me. They have cards for the wealthy, where CIA seems to be more of, we have high end stuff, but we also have common man stuff. So, and they make sure to have that in every one of their auctions. There's
Yeah.
quite a few lots that go for under $100 all the time on there, and really
I'll
good cards. So you can find some stuff on CIA.
I'll be honest, I've not looked at any of their
Yeah, it's
listings or whatever it is, their stuff, but I guess the point being is like the broker matters as far as like online purchases and dollar thresholds for you.
yeah. The online, as well as I do, there are some really good guys on eBay. Even though people might not like them, for whatever reason, but people like Greg Morris and Batterbox and place like that, they're really well organized, and I could easily buy $1,000 card for them and not bat an eye. But from a regular, just a guy, I don't know if I could do that. I would have to really make sure by sending a lot of conversation back and forth, like, show me everything. Let me see the back, front, side. Tell me every little thing about it
Yeah.
before I would spend that kind of money. But I would still do it. I just would need to make sure what I'm buying from.
Yeah, I actually have a card coming in from Greg Morris.
Yep.
I'll whoever that guy is, right? I'm pretty big fan, because he'll put on his listings things like filler, crease, and it scares other people away, and then that's how I get the card.
Yeah. No. Greg Morris does it once a week, where he does one night where it's all, poor crease cards, and a lot of them are in really nice shape. I
Yeah.
don't care. But I don't mind that if there's something I want. But also, Greg Morris, his prices might be a little high on some things, but I know from everything that I've read and watched, this guy's got a really good feedback rating, and he does quality stuff. So if you want a quality card and you want it and you know what you're going to get because he puts on there very good to good, excellent to excellent plus,
Yeah.
near mint. He might not be actually 100%, but he's pretty close. I mean, most of the stuff that I get that are near mint, if I do get them graded, they always are 7s, 8s, or 9s. So I know for the most part, if I get that, I'm probably getting something close to that. I'm not guaranteed that it's going to be a 9, and he's not guaranteeing that. He's just saying it's near mint. So you can take it for what it's worth. But Batter's Box is another one I really, really like. I think Batter's Box is outstanding because they're really fair in their pricing. I've bought a lot of cards off of Batter's Box. When I'm looking for vintage, especially, I only use Batter's Box. I just think they're outstanding.
Yeah, their inventory is just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So,
do you want me to start?
Show some cards, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to show just a small set that I got. Me, I like collecting the Montreal Expos.
Yep.
I've got every team set from 69 to 2004 of a number of the companies. Now I'm just finding all the small companies that I don't have the team sets of. But this is one of them that I just picked up. These are the disc.
Yes.
And these are called Burger Chef. They're from 1976, I think these are.
76, yeah.
And this is just of the Expos. So that's Tim Foley, the shortstop. This is Steve Rogers, a really good pitcher. And these are the small ones. These aren't the big disc. This is Tony Perez, a Hall of Famer.
I
just picked up all the ones of the Expos. This is
a
Dave Cash
that I need to send you that you'll get a kick out of when we get off of here.
All right.
And it has to do with those discs.
Larry Parrish. Here's Dell Unser. There's a guy I really like. Dell Unser was a really good player. Ellis Valentine, part of the really good outfield that they had at the start. Another Hall of Famer, Gary Carter. And his backup catcher, Barry Foote. And then on the back, they all say something different. Like this one says, I don't know, Crankerburger. This one says Burger Genie. They all have these different things on the back of them. They're pretty funny.
Yeah, so it was those ones specifically there was a game to it.
Yes.
So like I said, I'll send you that listing. It's actually it's pretty cool.
I'd love it. Yeah, but I got those in a lot that I was pretty stoked to get. It didn't cost me much, but I didn't even know that. I knew that those discs existed. I didn't know that they had that many of one team. And I found out that they had like 12. I think there's 12 in here, different Expos. So I picked them all up.
Yeah. So from what I understand, there was like a box that they all came on, and you would take those off, and then you would set up the box in a way to where that you would use the discs to play a game.
Oh, interesting. I've never seen that.
Yeah. So, and they all have the different backs. So there's like the Burger Chef, which we'll kind of get into with my pickups, right? Because the Burger Chef one is Ted Simmons. His back is that. Whereas like other Cardinals, because they came from, it was the box was a team.
Oh, okay.
So like the Expos would have come on a box, the Cardinals would have come on a box instead of being all mixed up. Yeah, it's I did not know that either until recent weeks, searching for a card that'll kind of tie into my pickups. But it's really funny you showed those first.
We think alike. I don't know how many times we've done that, but we've showed sometimes cards that are different but of the same type of thing. Like you're going to show
segues into the next person. Yeah. So
show me what you got.
So similar. So the last month I talked about how I was going to go after the 1976 MSA disc for Ted Simmons. And and those are, I consider those part of those the Burger Chef ones right. But anyway, so I picked up.
Yeah, those are the bigger ones, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Those are beautiful.
This one's the blank back version.
Yep.
And I have accumulated, and these things are so cheap.
Yes.
I can't speak to like more like your bigger players, but like a Ted Simmons, most of these were $3 to $4. But anyway, they all have different backs.
Yeah, I've got that with the Manny Sanguine. I think I showed that in one of my videos.
So I'm showing the whole pages because this is how I'm storing them, right?
Nice.
The blank back I'm having the front facing, and then because of the different backs as a part of the collection scope, I have the backs facing out.
Nice.
So there's 4 of them, and then here are the other 3 that I picked up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, those are all the ones that I picked up at Manny. I didn't know that they must have done that for all the players in 76.
Yeah, and then one of the things I've been doing, hobby wise, because I honestly that's about half the cards I picked up this month right there. But I've been making checklists, and so there's 4 more Ted Simmons back variations to collect for me, and
Oh, wow.
one of them is the Burger Chef.
Okay.
But then there's also Red Barn, Superstar Lunch Bag, and I guess I'm calling it Carousel. It's basically a blank back with like a stamp.
Yes.
It's not an actual design. But going after those.
So they don't have a wiffle ball for him?
So wiffle balls, I consider those different.
Okay.
He has 2 wiffle balls, 1978 and 1979.
Yeah, the wiffle balls they only did the like one.
Yeah.
Of the year.
Yeah, and so last month I said I was going to go after the Ted Simmons discs, but I've if you look on there, I've kind of expanded that. So there's
nice. You got about 6 guys on there.
No, it's all Ted Simmons, but I've separated it out between those discs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Kellogg cards, wiffle ball, Hostess, and then other food issue cards. So I also got these. One of his Hostess cards and one of his Kellogg cards. This is 76 and 74.
See, we have to be from the same mother because I enjoy collecting food issue cards. Like I love food issue stuff. I'm starting to get more into it because that's the stuff I want to add to my player runs and different things. But
yeah,
first of all, they're all pretty inexpensive. I mean, the only thing that gets expensive is when you start buying panels, they'll charge you more because 3 cards are there, or if you get the box, the bottom box one that has it look like an L almost. Those are a little bit more expensive because you're getting all that in one, and there's not many of them around, right? People tore those boxes apart.
Yeah, but I have so with Ted Simmons, I'm definitely going like the food issue route, because like my Brock and Gibson collections are not that. I have a lot of the food issues, or I'm going after food issues of Ken Boyer, and then I have Ozzie Smith, but that's the 60s, 80s, and 90s. So Ted Simmons is my way to get like have the 70s represented of those type of cards, So, and then there is one card of that checklist that's not food issue; it's regional, because I'm also kind of including regionals. But when I picked that up, part of it is because of Rob over at Bucks and Six that I want to have this Ted Simmons card in my collection. And similar to like Reg Shandy's, I think his Brewers years are important to his Hall of Fame story. So,
without a doubt. I mean,
there has to be for me Brewers representation in my Ted Simmons collection.
Right.
It just has to be there. So,
what about the Braves?
I have not looked into what's out there, but if you've watched, there's this I don't think it's Netflix, but there's this documentary. Rob's talked about it. I think it's called Just a Bit Outside.
Yes,
but it's about the 1982 Brewers, and that's a phenomenal movie. And of course, I know how it ends,
right?
Which is good for my team, but but that kind of even that alone, kind of that team, that city, and how they bonded and everything like that is enough to make you want to get a card of a player you collect out of there.
Those Brewer teams, beyond the Cardinal teams, but those Brewer teams were the Harvey Wallbangers, and it was a beautiful time, with certain guys. I mean, one of my favorite pitcher of all time is Don Sutton, and he was part of that 82 team.
Yeah,
with Milwaukee.
Big time addition in that season.
Yeah, well, it was huge. So, and it was a good World Series. It was good teams. It was traditional teams. So I always like that. Sometimes when you get the traditional teams, but so yeah. So the other thing I was going to show you a little bit of hockey, even though I do hockey stuff. I wanted to show you a few things I picked up because I got inspired by oh my gosh, the guy, This is bad. I can't even remember his name now. He was on my show last month on the hockey show. His name is just, oh my gosh, this is pretty bad. I can't even remember his name
Is
now.
it the Most Adequate Collection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great dude, and he started showing a bunch of relic cards, and he started talking about certain relic cards, and so I didn't understand. Like, there's always nuances in everything that we collect. In relics, there's always the plain ones, just just have a black from or a white from the uniform. And he told me, look, at the really good ones are going to cost you more money, but you always want to look for 2 colors or seams. And so I started picking some of that up. This one here is Jason Spezza, a guy I collect, but look at that. I mean, that's got gold and black in it. It's beautiful. And this another one's pretty nice. This is Alex Tuck, another guy I collect, but I really like the multicolor ones.
He's a free agent this year too, so
yep,
he's like the preeminent offensive player on the market. So it'll be interesting to see if he stays in Buffalo or not.
Yeah, he'll get some money because he's a 30 goal scorer. This is his first one. He was with Minnesota. This is rookie year, but it's got the red and green and white, and the green is, you can't see it. It's right in the middle, but it's the seam, and it's a beautiful patch. And this one is, I collect Marty Beniers from Seattle. I collect all his stuff. This is 3 colors.
Yeah, this is definitely in the vein of the cards that he shows. Like, he just did a goalie one.
Yeah. Oh no, he showed some great stuff. And Matt, that's his name, Matt. Yeah. Gosh, I can't believe sorry, Matt, if you're watching. Don't take it personally, buddy. You're still my boy. This is a 4-color one that I really like. But these are a new way that I'm doing cards. I got these. They're called slips, I think, or whatever.
I've seen those.
And you can see they're on the front and back. And I had it done with my logo, and it keeps them closed. And you put them in and just store them. It's just a way to store them.
Yeah.
I just like the look. So
yeah, I've actually had a problem with the one touches, the magnets coming out of the holder.
Yep.
And
they come like this.
Apart. Yeah.
They come on a sheet. They're not too expensive at all. I did it through Mag Pro. I had Kim do it for me, and just, it didn't cost much to get a 50 to 100 of. I had 2 different kinds done. So, but it's really cool because then I put them on all my one touches. I've been using a lot more one touches, and then I get all the different ones, the different sizes. These are 130s. There's 75s. I've been picking some of that up. And then Penny Sleever has the really nice one touches for all the different cards from 1948 on. So you can get them.
Yeah.
You can get the oversized and everything.
Yeah. Here, let me, because I've showed that in my videos before. But like all my Musial cards are in there.
Oh yeah, there you go. I went and got those sheets.
Bowman.
Every sheet that you sent me in that email last month, I bought every one of them. I got 6, 4, 2, and then I got the ones for the Mag Pros and stuff.
Yeah, but I know we're doing like a pickup video, but
it's okay.
People that are watching to illustrate. But to illustrate Adam's point about the Penny Sleever products, so like this is the 48-49 holder. So you see
those
it
are
fits
just
in there
beautiful.
Perfect. This is a 52 Bowman holder, so it fits perfect.
They look so good in those, man. They look great.
And then oversized, like you're saying, or a larger card.
Yeah, that's the 53 Bowman color, right?
Bowman.
Yeah.
So like I said, to anybody watching, to Adam's point, there's so many varieties. There's the tobacco card size ones and what have you. So these are amazing options to protect cards and things like that.
The one I'm looking forward to at some point is I really want them to do the 69 through 71 basketball, because I like collecting those.
Oh yeah,
is to do one for the tall boys, because you have the 65 tops football and the 65 tops hockey.
Yeah.
And all those fit in the same one. So I'm hoping that One Touch will, at some point, the people that create those will create one that size. And I know Penny Sleever, I've talked to them about it. They're interested in looking into it.
I was going to ask if you've reached out to a company about it.
Yep. I reached out to Penny Sleever and said, look, this is the only thing that it looks like you're missing. The other ones would be too big to do. Like you showed me a couple of the really nice ones that you did for oversized from photos to everything else. And those are really nice, but
Yeah.
those are also pretty expensive, to be honest. You can't, they're not $4, right? They're quite a bit more. So you have to
Yeah.
think about that when you're getting stuff.
Yeah, but like there's so many products out there, so I think that market's only growing as far as what our options are. So
No, one of the
that's
guys
pretty
that really
good.
got me going on that was John Mangini. Mangini's always been great on his shows, and I've reached out to him probably, I'm not even kidding, 5 to 6 times and said, John, I got this, and I don't know what to put it in. 5 seconds later, man, he's sending me a thing and said,
No.
use this. I mean, he literally knows every product out there. He's a really great resource for how to store your cards, because he doesn't believe in numbers on his cards. Even though he'll buy some, he won't send any in. He puts his stuff in whatever, but great stuff. Like I think I showed you, I think you might have seen if you watched this video. I picked this up, and I've got a holder that John Mangini told me about that I'm going to slip this into, but right now I'm just keeping it in this.
What's funny is you showed that on your video that dropped this morning.
Yep.
And the video I dropped yesterday had one of those in it.
Oh, that is gorgeous. That's beautiful.
A friend of mine sent me this.
Hey, so explain to me something. I was watching a Cardinal game a couple days ago, and they still have Macland there. So
yeah,
did they ever come out and ever at any time even think about taking it down after the steroid issue, or they just said, screw it, we don't care, he was great here, we're just going to go with it? It's kind of what they've done.
I don't think it's one of those things where it started because of McGwire,
right?
But then, when did McGwire admit to what he did? It was so many years later.
Yeah, it was.
By that point in time, it's more of like a corporate sponsorship thing. It's not even so much
right
association with McGwire anymore. But even still, like, it wouldn't matter because he admitted to what he did and they hired him. He is in our Hall of Fame, so I mean, I think they don't really care. You know what I mean? No matter what you do, you're gonna be wrong.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look at what him and Sosa did for baseball at that time. We all got caught up in it. It was great theater. It was great stuff. We all loved it. We watched. None of that stuff was supposed to be released. I don't really care. I don't make a big deal of it, but I also know it is what it is.
No, I mean, the product was definitely better than the game today, and pitchers could go more than 5 innings back then too. So, but I don't know. It happened. There's nothing we can do about that, So,
well, the way I always talk about it, John, is to just make the point is it was not illegal at the time they were doing it. I don't care what anybody says about, it's performance enhancing. I get it, but it wasn't on the ban list. So Major League Baseball needs to take as much ownership for it as anything, because if you didn't want it, you could have put it on the ban list.
So I don't look at steroids in a vacuum like that. Think about just a lineage of baseball, and we're getting off on a tangent here, but you could argue that. So we say that steroids skewed the stats, right? And it messed up the record books. What about before Jackie Robinson entered the league? So you have your pre-integration days, right? So definitively the stats are manipulated in a way that players could not accumulate stats. Or you have players accumulate stats that they would not have earned had it been a level playing field.
Yes.
Between better quality of play or not having a roster spot. Okay. What about amphetamines? A guy that's too tired to play, takes that stuff. Next thing you know, he's stealing second and third on one pitch or something. I'm joking, but
no, because that they said, you read any of the books from the 60s, they said they were in a bowl in the clubhouse. You could just go grab a handful of them. It was very common because they call them uppers or greenies or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. But it's the same thing. I mean, look at people have been cheating.
Stealing,
people have been cheating for 150 years, John.
Yeah, but you got sign stealing that's gone on forever. There's stories that Bobby Thompson's home run, the shot heard around the world was a stolen sign. We got trash cans, that people want to have feelings about. But my point is, like, a lot of that stuff is different than steroids, but there's a lot of similarities to it, and it's all across baseball history. Doctoring baseballs, Pitchers used to do all kinds of weird things, and now they're having their hands checked every half inning, and
Right.
the stickum stuff, and
Well, I mean, we're not that far out from when Sosa and Albert Bell both got caught with cork bats. I mean,
yeah, cork bats.
pe-
There you go. Yeah.
people are going to do whatever they can to skew it. But
So I
my
don't.
whole thing is the way to solve the steroid issue is real simple. Treat it like everything else. If the player let us vote them in and let us go to the Hall of Fame, and I'll make up my mind then. But they all deserve to be in there. Those players, like not having A-Rod and Bonds, even though they're knuckleheads, not having them in the Hall of Fame is not telling the whole story. Let me go to the Hall of Fame and see Bonds's plaque, but let me decide if it should be there, and we get to decide how we want to approach it. But don't.
Well,
It's not the Hall of the Moral. It's the Hall of Baseball. So that's my only issue is like we make such a big deal out of it when just if they're worthy of getting in, then vote them in. If they're not, then don't put them in.
well, there is technically a moral clause
Right.
for voters now, which was not always the case. And then to play devil's advocate is Bonds is in the Hall of Fame, or at least his things.
Yes.
You can go to the museum and see.
Yes.
So the Hall of Fame, from what I understand, does tell the story to include the steroid era. My thing is, I don't isolate the steroid era more so than all the other things that we just talked about. Like there has been things all across the way. And it just further drives why I do the team Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds is in the Giants Hall of Fame.
Right.
McGwire, like I talked about, is in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. So, and the Athletics. But I don't know, just it'll be a forever talking point. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because all the other stuff that you just brought up, no one talks about it anymore. But the steroid one is still one that's really dwelled into people's mind because of the Hall of Fame and that kind of thing. It's an
It
interesting
comes up
dynamic,
every year. Yeah, it comes
you
up
know.
every year.
But they're, steroids are used every day in this world, and many of them have really positive effects. I take every great blue moon, I have to take a steroid inhaler for my asthma. And if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't clear it up like the other products. So there are
Yeah.
things that the steroids are good for and have been proven to be medically sound. The anabolic stuff is a different story.
And I'll say one last thing before we go on to more cards, but
Yeah.
think about this, right? We say about, because they're role models and impact on kids and blah, blah, blah. But look at it from this vantage point, because I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. How much does it cost you to go to a baseball game these days?
A lot. I mean, if you can get a ticket for under $30, that's a pretty good deal.
Well, and it's not just the ticket cost, it's transportation,
Yes.
parking, food, drinks, even if you're not drinking alcohol. Would you rather watch the AAA call up or the superstar because he's healthy enough to play?
Oh, the superstar because he's healthy enough to play.
So if things like HGH, steroids, and whatnot is what keeps him on the
Oh,
field.
no. I see what you're saying. No, then I would
Yeah.
rather see the call up. I'd rather see
Okay.
the guy that, I just want to see, I want the game to be as pure as possible. Let a
Okay.
mano. I want to see the best against the best, but with nothing but your physical ability.
Okay.
That's what I want to see. I was getting the question screwed up in my head, but yeah, I don't want to see, I would not pay to go see players that I know tried to cheat the game. I would rather just see the purity. I mean, that's just it.
Okay.
I'm old fashioned, but I want to see the best against the best in any sport or any type of endeavor. I want to see the best against the best, but on a level playing field. If you're doing anything to do that because you still can't do it, then I have a problem. You remember, I'll end it with this. There's a guy that used to play for Seattle. His name was Lawton. I can't remember his first name now. He's an outfielder, African-American. He was pretty good too. And he was in a steroid era, and he was at the end of his career, and he got caught taking steroids. He's the only guy that when they caught him, he went, "Yep, I did it." He says, "I was trying to hang on for one more paycheck. I was trying to hang on for one more year. I'm 37. I didn't, but I like that guy so much. I went out and got his card because I said, you're the first guy that's been honest and said, yep, I took it. I did. I was trying to hang on for another year and I got caught and it's my own fault." And
Yeah.
That's the kind of honesty I want to see. He tried because he knew he didn't have the skills and he was going to get beat out by a younger guy. So he tried to do it that way. It didn't help him. He's still, he was at the end of his career, but I just appreciated the honesty. I wish more people would be like that.
Yeah. It's just a question to ask because it's another lens to look through. If we talk about like McGuire, he broke the record, but it wasn't it was cheating and whatnot, but there's been cheating across the era, so what makes it different? That kind of thing.
I don't know. I was in front of the TV, John, watching every one. I loved every minute of it, and I still to this day. I just think it was one of the great times in baseball to see everybody get caught up in this home run chase. I thought it was great. So I don't. It's not tainted for me. It might be tainted for other people, but it's not tainted for me. Just is what it is. It was part of the lexicon at the time.
Yeah, it's like I said. The question it derives from, you're spending your money.
Yes.
What's your opinion? You know what I'm saying? So.
Yep. No, at that point, I'm changing.
Yeah.
So I got a few more cards. You got some stuff to show me?
Yeah. I'll go and then we'll go back. I only have 2 more rounds myself. So.
Yep. That's all I got.
So going back to Ted Simmons, I got this 1980 Topps card. And so the reason why I did 1980, he does have a 1981 Cardinals card. And then he has a traded Brewers card, but this is basically his last Cardinals card the way I look at it. Because it was the last year he played in St. Louis.
Right.
Similar to this, Whitey Herzog, he does have a 1990 card, but he did not manage the Cardinals in 1990. His last year managing the Cardinals was 89.
89.
That's why I got this. And then to keep going with the theme, Adam Wainwright's last playing days card, 2023. Nice. Now, he does not have a 2024 card. So this is his last playing days card and his last Topps card.
By the way, he is a great announcer on Fox. Yeah. He does the baseball with him and Prisnerski, and those guys are great together.
Yeah, so what I did was I don't watch the TV, so I can't speak to how great he is. I think he's awesome, and he's always a good a good interview. You know what I mean? Like after post game stuff and whatnot, he was always a good interview. So, but this is kind of like a last playing days theme kind of thing for me, because I have obviously Musial, Red, Gibson, Brock. I have those like Ozzie and whatnot. And so I just expanded it out a little further to other players / manager. And I got all these at the card shop. So I think it might have been $1 for all 3 of these, which was great for me, so.
No, that's my kind of stuff, man. That's when I go to my local shop, that's what I do. So I got a couple cards in from ComC. I'm building my Andre Dawson complete master run. So I'm doing literally everything in his master run. It's like 100 and something cards, but I'm almost done.
Years, right?
Yeah. And it just be everything that came in, unless it's like really expensive. There are some cards of guys that are just even Gus Zernial has some cards that are $400 and $500. Well, I'm not buying those because they're just rare. They're the meat ones, from a certain company. And so they're just expensive on whoever you get. Yeah. Rodeo Meats, that's the one. But these I picked up. I like the oversized cards. These, I didn't have these of Andre Dawson. This came in my ComC when I got his stuff. It's the other one. This is 84 and 85, 83 and 84 are there. And then I picked up a couple rookie cards I've been wanting to get. That's Jose Cruz.
Yeah, more so of Astros fame.
Yep, but start off with the Cardinals.
Yep.
Vita Blue rookie.
Nice.
And a Gene Tennis rookie. Both of them really good players,
Yeah, Tennis was very good in the 70s.
Yep, and Buddy Bell was one of my favorite third basemen. Actually, I've talked to you about this. His numbers are as comparable to Ken Boyer. They both should be considered. This guy never gets even a look at, but his numbers are pretty impressive for a Hall of Fame actual look if you really look at him closely for third baseman.
So before you go on, like this matters, like think about the era in which they played.
Yes.
So that was before. So national television, if games were nationally televised, what kind of games were you talking about? You were talking about like pennant runs, postseason World Series. And I've been doing a lot of reading on Ted Simmons. And you look at him compared to the great catchers of the time, because remember, they didn't have to wait to get in the Hall of Fame like he did. And even in real time, Ted Simmons, I found this quote. He was asked about um, not receiving the recognition compared to his peers, and he connected it to, well, I don't get to play in the postseason. Because he was on the Cardinals in the '70s, they were not very good,
No.
and so a Johnny Bench, Carlton Fisk, and things like Thurman Munson were getting a lot more exposure because they were on much better teams. Now they were great players, right? Munson should be in the Hall of Fame based on what I've read
Right.
and looked up. But a difference was Ted Simmons was not in the same conversation, and a lot of that could be because, well, look at the times. How was information spread across the nation? Print, radio. This is before ESPN 24/7 news cycle, and the ball games that were on were only going to be your high profile games. And I
Yeah.
think Buddy Bell could fall into that because,
Yep.
well, Ken Boyer was on that '64 team, World Series MVP, playing the Yankees, um, perennial
Well,
All Star. So
when you think about too the '70s, the only way I could follow baseball was with the newspaper. So the
yeah.
newspaper was the only way I could see every box score, see the players, see what their stats were, and then Saturday we would get a game of the week on
Mhm.
NBC when I was growing up. And that game of the week would always be the high profile teams. You would never see Cleveland on there. You would never see the Washington Senators. You would never see, it was always Yankees. It was always Boston. It was always going to be LA. It was going to be, the big teams were the ones that we were going to get for that Saturday game because they wanted to draw an audience. Now you can get any game you want anytime you want. So already a young catcher now would have way more exposure, even in say 4 or 5 years. I mean, look at the exposure that Cal Raleigh got last year in only 1 year compared to Simmons in his complete career. He never got anything like that.
Yeah.
The media was following Raleigh every single day, right? Because he's chasing all these home runs. So
Yeah.
he was in our lexicon every day for a whole year. None of the
Well,
catchers in the '70s got that.
and think about the newspaper too. If the team was out of market from your area, you were just getting like a line score, a box
Yep.
score. You weren't getting descriptive anything about the game or the players. So all you saw was a box score, and we know the box score doesn't tell the whole story. So a
No,
lot of
that's
that,
where for me, I had a subscription to the Sporting News because of that. I wanted to read stories on every
yeah,
on every so I would get the Sporting News. I got it for about 20 years. I had a subscription. It was my Bible because it's the only way I could get the information. Because my local paper, remember, I'm on the West Coast at that time. I'm living in Sacramento. We wouldn't get any of the West Coast games, wouldn't even be in the box score because it was too late. The paper would
yeah,
go out before. So I'd have to wait till the next day for them to add them to the next day's paper to see what they did because I had no clue. There was nothing that we didn't have ESPN or anything like that back then.
yeah. It's
So
pretty wild the change in times, and and it's also one of those things where an old ad, and a common question is, were they ever thought of as a Hall of Famer? Well, I don't think that that's fair for
no,
players of those times, or before the 24/7 news cycle, because narratives got written based off of limited information and exposure, and at the same time, it's just go learn more about the player yourself for yourself, and that's what I've done with like Ted Simmons, for example, and it's been a lot of
yep.
fun.
No, Ted Simmons was one of my favorite players growing up. I was a huge fan because I think he was great, and they should be measured by their position. If you measure them by their position, he should have gotten way more notoriety. A lot of times they just clump Hall of Famers in. They'll look at numbers like he has this many homers. Well, that many homers for a catcher is in the top two. He should be an automatic. Don't compare him to the complete home run list. Compare him to the position. When you start doing that, guys become more alive and they become more. You can actually see the whole picture. To me, they if they're guys that just mind their own business and don't make any noise, which is what Ted Simmons did. He didn't say, "Look at me." He just played the game hard and went home. And he wasn't a big media guy. It's like you forget about it. Thurman Munson was a bigger than life star, right? He was in New York. He he was the captain, and he made sure, but he knew he was the captain, not in an arrogant way, but I'm running this team, and we're gonna play hard. We're gonna play. So his name was in that lexicon all the time because it was New York. They
Yeah.
had 5 daily papers at that time. St. Louis had 1 or 2, right? You're not getting the same. It's the pub is totally different. So,
Yep.
um, I just think some players get lost, and I think Ken Boyer is probably one of the biggest ones just because he's been talked about for 25 years of he should be in. Well, quit
Yeah.
talking about it, for God's sake. Put the guy in. He was among that era. Really, if you think of third basemen in the 60s, the only guy that was head and shoulders above him was Ron Santo. Pretty much, and even then he wasn't head and shoulders above him. He just was a really good player who hit 30 home runs. But that'd be the only comparable guy, right?
I would think that like Boyer and Santo, one transitioned into the other as far
Yeah.
as like the limelight kind of thing. But it's both of them overlapped with Brooks Robinson. Now he
Right.
is, he is like that next level,
Right.
for sure. And then you also had Eddie Matthews on the front end of that.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, just he was in that discussion in that era for one of the best third basemen. So why has that gotten lost? And I know that his career ended the way it did. It didn't end because he became a slug. It ended because his body gave out. His body just literally, he couldn't recover from the injuries, and he tried staying on. And so people focus on those last couple of years when he thought he still might have it, and they think his numbers weren't very good. Well, most players at the end of their career, look at Tony Perez. His last 5 years, He wasn't even a full-time player. He got like 200 at bats. Everybody said, oh, he hung on. Well, he didn't hang on. He was still decent, but he wasn't the same player. And so they want to say, well, he hung on.
You have to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Teams only have so many roster spots.
Yes.
You have to be pretty good to take one of them.
Exactly. And until he was 42 years old. So somebody still thought at 42 that he was capable. And so don't say that somebody hung on or somebody did this. You just have to take into fact, what were their stats? What kind of player were they? And then compare them to their peers, not to all of the Hall of Fame. Compare them to their peers of that position, and then you'll get a better clarity on the player.
Yeah. So I got my last card.
There you go.
I'm
going to show you a couple at the end here that I.
But this is probably like my biggest card of the month, and we're talking about players, like how they're viewed, impact to the game, not so much stats and whatnot. But I can't stop collecting Yadier Molina.
No, you shouldn't.
2004 Fleer Ultra Gold Medallion.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
So it's
where'd you get that one
at? I got it off of eBay, of course.
Nice.
But
those gold medallions are beautiful, and I love the little bit of a die cut type thing on there.
Yeah, and this one, it actually kind of reminds me of Musial's rookie card. So look at these guys. Front end of their careers, very serious look to them. Like, I'm about to go become a legend.
Yep.
About to wreck some people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's so. It's the facial expressions that really kind of are similar to me.
I think we talked about this last month, but Stan Musial, I know this might sound crazy to people, but Stan Musial doesn't get the credit he deserves in the era he played in, because he got dwarfed, even though his stats were as good or better, by the Mantle and Mays and Aaron and Clementes. He played in an era of these unbelievable superstars, and he was one of them. And yet, for some reason, he seems like the guy that gets left out a little bit, that the numbers they don't look at him. But he did something that even Mays didn't do, and very other. I think he had 8 different years where he had double digits in both doubles, triples, and homers. And that's a rarity. There's not a lot of players that have done it, but I think he did it 8 times. People forget he was pretty fast for a guy too. Sneaky fast. Like, he wasn't going to steal a lot of bases. He just knew how to base run, and he was really good at it. And I've read 3 different books on Stan Musial. I just think the guy was probably one of the nicest, kindest human beings that ever walked the face of this earth, beyond his baseball stuff. Just the kind of man he was if everybody tried to be Stan Musial, we would have no problems in our society.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's just one of those things where it just kind of is what it is. He was in the Midwest. He was nice. XYZ. Like if he had played in Fenway, he has a lot more home runs. Probably has less triples, less doubles, but he would definitely have a lot more home runs. Um, I've never quite understood why, because they played in the same, their careers overlap so much, why people view Ted Williams and Sam Musial so different when I think they're closer.
Oh, I
But
think
we'll never know. But
right.
again, times were different. There was no interleague play then.
Nope.
There was no free agency then.
Nope.
So it's like,
Now
Ted Williams. Ted
I
Williams was
personally,
definitively playing against different talent than Sam Musial was,
right.
because
I,
the pitchers.
yep.
I mean, it
I would
just
I
kind of
would
is what
say
it
Stan
is.
Musial was better, but that's just me, and not by much. I mean, they're both. It's hard to say one's better than the other, but I just think Musial, just when you really look at the stats and you stare at those stats, they're overwhelming how great they are. Like
Yeah,
it's easy to look at end stats, but I'm just talking year in and year out. He didn't have any bad years. Like every year was great, and he just was
yeah.
consistent throughout his whole career.
My thing is not one is not better than the other. I think it's just one of those things where when you talk about that era,
Yes,
right? So 40s and 50s specifically, it should be these were the great hitters rather than the best, the GOAT,
right,
like we're at Grant's Farm or something of the sort. Like I don't know. Anytime like somebody say, "Oh, Ted Williams is better than Stan Musial," I'm like, "Yeah, 1-0," and that
right.
was Musial won the World Series. Ted Williams didn't, even though both of them kind of sucked in the World Series that year. But
Well, I don't think
you
you
know,
can. I don't think you can ever call anybody the greatest. People say, I saw this on another channel. I'm not going to bury the person that said it, but they said, Babe Ruth's the greatest player. And I'm like, he didn't play in integration baseball. He's not the greatest player. I'm sorry.
well, and that's the thing that
Yep.
to compare eras, I think is just so.
I just think you
How
look
do
at
you
every
how do you
era.
do it?
Yeah.
They try to invent these stats like OPS plus and all this crap. Like, how can you really do it? You know what I mean? The ballparks were different. The baseball was different. The talent was different. Just everything. You know?
And those Babe Ruth was great and one of the greatest that ever played. But you can never say somebody was the greatest because you got to take in all the factors. I just think for the time period, best player in baseball was him. In the other era, you probably can't say it. I mean, Babe Ruth
Yeah.
at that point was head and shoulders above everybody else because he was hitting as many home runs that some teams were hitting. So he
Yeah.
was a freak. But you
Yeah.
can't. I think it's really hard to throw the greatest or the GOAT to any era or any sport. I just think you say he's one of the greatest. He's in that conversation of
Yeah.
the best
I
players.
completely agree with that. It's like
Because they
just
say now
appreciate it.
they'll say Michael Jordan is the greatest player. Well, what Wilt Chamberlain did during his time was he was the Babe Ruth of that era.
Yeah.
So you can't say one is greater than the other. Just say these are part of the greatest players and keep it at that.
Yeah.
To try to do a Mount Rushmore would be impossible because you're going to leave 20 guys off that deserve to be on there.
Yeah. It's like who's the greatest first baseman of all time? Pujols, Gehrig, and it's like, how can you answer that question?
Yeah,
You
you
know,
can't.
I don't understand. I understand where the question comes from, but I just don't see how. One, I don't think anybody's willing to put their name to saying that Pujols is better than Lou Gehrig because they'll get crucified. You know, um,
But it's different eras. I mean,
Pujols comparing Pujols to the luckiest man on the face of the earth is just not fair. And then, Lou Gehrig was on the same team as Babe Ruth. I mean,
right?
I love Jim Edmonds and Scott Rowland. They're no Babe Ruth.
No, no. Well, and the thing is, too, John, you got to take in everything that matters in any of these players is that back in really before, say, probably 1990, every hitter got to see the same pitcher at least 3 or 4 times. Now you got the hitters of today that are seeing a different guy. There's some games I've seen a batter, he'll have 5 at bats and against 5 different pitchers. it's way harder in reality for a player today to counteract that. And the numbers that they're putting up is still impressive. So it's just a different time, and we just need to look at everything's different now. Pitchers are going to go 5 or 6 innings, and we're going to call them gods. And yet they couldn't hold a candle to Bob Gibson in 1968 when he had 28 complete games in 42 starts and had a 1.12 ERA that we'll never see anybody ever touch again. You just have to just enjoy and be thankful you got to see those players and that they did what they did.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. You can say X player is great.
Yes.
You don't need to add the last 3 letters.
No.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I totally agree with you, because I just think we know who the great players were. We know that Ryan and Fergie Jenkins and Steve Carlton and Don Sutton, we can go to all the great pitchers. They were all great. To try to put them in an order of 1 through 10, it's not worth my time. They were all great, and I'm not going to say this one was better than this one, because they all served a different purpose. They were playing for different teams that demanded different things from them. So, and if you got to look at the team they were on. If Fergie Jenkins played his whole career, John, and never played in a playoff game. Think about that. And the guy won 20 games 9 times on lousy teams. The Cubs and the Rangers wouldn't know anything but what the cellar was. And yet this guy found a way to carve out a Hall of Fame career. Is somebody greater than him? Or, I mean, if you took all that together, I just think Fergie Jenkins gets lost. His rookie card is $60. Nolan Ryan's is $1,200.
Yeah.
And they were 1 year apart when they started. I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. I mean, there for a while, you could say that he was the greatest Canadian in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, without a doubt.
Now you got to debate that because Larry Walker, but anyway.
Yep. How much did you enjoy watching him? Because he played for, the Expos, and I thought he was extremely underrated when he played. Like, there were even people thinking, does he really deserve to go in the Hall of Fame? I'm like, look at those stats, and look at the stats when he was away from Colorado. He put up great stats away from Colorado. Don't try to Colorado. No player should ever get blamed for playing in Colorado. It's not their fault. It is what it is. They just took advantage of it.
Well, we talked about that last month. DH is a position, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
So don't penalize the person for playing a position that is employed by Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And they pay millions of dollars to fill that roster spot too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, same thing with Tom when Helton got put in. They said, well, he played his career in Colorado. That's not his fault. What he did in Colorado was what he's supposed to do if he's a really good player. He destroyed it. He was a really good player. And yet they want to use these narratives that are not the player's fault. If you think Colorado is an unfair advantage, then don't have a team there.
Exactly.
If you
Now, the Larry Walker, when he got traded to us, so I was actually at his first game as a Cardinal.
Oh, were you? Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And to your point, at his age, not playing in Colorado, he did pretty damn good.
Oh,
and I just wish that one of those 2 years we would have won a World Series for him. Like he's one of those players that, of that era. So, the all-time Cardinal greats, the Molina, the Pujols, the La Russa, the Wainwright. Yes, they have their World Series, but similar to the teams in the 80s where, the John Tudor does not have his World Series. The Larry Walker does not have his either. The Carlos Beltran does not have his, although, there's the Astros one, yes, but you get my point though, right? And he's just one of those. It's unfortunate that they could not win one of those 2 years. Came so close, like the closest in his career, because he got screwed in '94. So it's unfortunate.
They were the best team in '94 too, John. That team they were 30 games up over 500, and they were crushing anybody. They were a really, really good team.
In the postseason. Well, we will say that. Look at 1987. But things happen. Look at 2006. So.
They
did not have the opportunity to prove it. That's the way I would describe it.
Yeah, and it's sad because those teams were all good, right? And they didn't get a chance to finish it out because of other circumstances,
Well, the strike destroyed the economy of baseball for the Expos.
Yep.
And that's why this upcoming labor agreement, what is it going to do to the economy of a lot of teams? We're going to find out, you know.
It'll be interesting. I think trying to get a cap is going to be really tough because the players don't want their money being uh, having to settle for less money because of a cap, especially when the game's
Yeah.
growing and they're making money. It'll be interesting to see how they draw that line because that's the main issue
So,
with this whole thing.
and we've been going on for a good while, but it's interesting. So the two sides have each given their initial proposal, which it was no surprise, right? The owners want a cap. What surprised me was that even the owners introduced a floor that is significantly higher than what many teams, my Cardinals included, are paying their rosters right now.
Which is interesting that the owners would do that and then still want a hard cap when the owners of the teams that are doing really well that have, not every team that's over the cap, if you want to call it a cap or above the luxury tax, there's most of them aren't doing well this year. Most of them stink. Most of them are at the bottom. When you think of the highest paid teams, Boston and some of these other teams that are just stinking.
Yeah, but your
but
last 10 World Series winners have paid how much for their rosters?
yeah,
We're only in June, so look at what the Phillies have done since Don Mattingly took over. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But no, it's quite interesting that I think with a cap you have to have a floor, but look at what the Pirates are paying for their payroll and look at what that proposed floor is. It's a huge difference, and so
well, they said that
both proposals have like a floor, so to speak.
Yep.
And so if that goes into play, that's going to be very interesting on what roster compositions look like next year for your Tampa Bay Rays, for your Pittsburgh Pirates, and things like that. Teams that have historically had very low payrolls.
Well, and I could see what it needs to be. Just I don't want to go on this too much longer. We've already been on long enough, but the thing with the bottom payroll is all the luxury tax money that is paid, along with the revenue from all the baseball TV rights. Each team gets between 40 and 60 million at the end of the year when that's all dispersed, and they're supposed to put that back in their team. And those bottom teams are not doing it; they're pocketing the money and not putting it back into their payroll. So that's one thing I don't mind being corrected. Maybe 170 is a little too high. Maybe they go a little bit lower, but if people are going to pay luxury tax, that money should go to teams and they should use it to build up to become more competitive. And and if they're not, then something's wrong. There needs to be, okay, you're not willing to spend the money and you're getting this money from these teams that are willing to spend the money. You at least got to put the money that's given to you like that back into your team. So increase the payroll by a little bit and show that you're wanting to do it because every place wants to watch their team win games.
Yeah, so it's the future of baseball is one thing, but it'd be interesting, for the romantics like us or definitely like myself that like to see the players with the teams, right? Is if there was a floor in place now, would Andrew McCutchen, for example, be on the Pirates roster?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean, you mean right now if they had to put the minimum, yeah, he would be on the team.
Right, because they got to spend up to the floor. And I think that, while he is past, he's not the player he used to be. I understand that. But he would not have gone to Texas. And I know they designated him for assignment, but he could, go out as a Pirate. You know what I mean? Because they're not spending the money anyway. I wonder if there's going to be cases like that where I don't know if all that makes sense, but
I think what you'll see teams do more like what Pittsburgh did with Connor Griffin, is they'll give players that they believe have an upside, like Seattle did with J-Rod, or like the athletes have done the last couple of years, taking all the young players and giving them 6 and 7 year contracts, but at a much lower rate. That when they become good, it'll be a value for the team because the player will be giving them 20 million worth of stats, and yet they're only paying them 10 million because they gave him that contract. I think doing that, you would get a lot. Your Cardinals might bring up a couple guys instead of keeping them down because they need to bring the roster up and then give them that extension so they know they've got them locked in at a young rate. They'd be wise to do that with Wynn and with Walker right now. Give these guys decent contracts, but not the 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 level you'd have to pay somebody once they become great, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's been a business practice for a little bit. The Cardinals did that with Paul DeYoung, and it did
Yep.
not age well. I think Evan Longoria was like the first guy I remember,
Yep.
you know, but
Well, you saw, I mean, Connor Griffin hadn't even played a game and they already gave him an 8-year, $70 million contract. Well, in year 4, if he's the player they think he is and he hits 20 home runs and is a gold glove shortstop, you're paying him $8 million is going to look like chump change. You know, you're going to have a great player for that, but you're taking a chance.
The back end arbitration years have gotten very, very expensive compared to what it used to be. So and then buying out a free agent year or two ends up becoming a big deal, you know, but
it'll be interesting.
For
well,
sure.
Buddy, I always enjoy my time with you. It's great. And then we'll do it again next month and we'll tackle other subjects.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty light for the cards, so we filled the time more with
it's okay. We showed some cards, but we had some fun, you know. We talked baseball. That's what I love doing. So it's always good.
Yeah, so you got a card you want to hold up to end off the show?
I'm gonna show my Gus Zernial Red Heart.
I'm gonna show some Ted Simmons disc.
There you go.
Y'all, thanks for nerding out with us.
Take care, guys.